Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. Before we start today, now I read the comments. Let's address a few things. Why has Rob got carpet protectors? No, I haven't anymore. We had people in doing stuff to the radiators. I'm not the sort of person who thinks you have to protect your carpets at all costs. That's not me. The other thing is talking about the sound quality. There have been one or two interviews where the sound quality on my part has been poor. That is down to pilot error, and I am the pilot. Look at me, I'm in my little house by myself. It's a lot to take on. Today's guest I'm very excited to talk to. I've met her once when she came on Would I Lie to You? And I remember at the time going, oh, she's good, she's different. I've read up about her for this. She's got a very interesting story. She's a very distinct voice. Ladies and gentlemen, open your door and beckon in Sindhu Vee. Oh, well, we can see Sindhu's abode, but we don't see Sindhu. Yes, we do now.
Hi.
There she is. For a while, we saw a Sindhu-less room. I'm so pleased that you're doing this because we've met only briefly in the past. I'm going to be very honest with you, and you can be very honest with me. When you came on Would I Lie to You, I wasn't perhaps as aware of you as perhaps I should have been. But then when you were on, my reaction was, oh, she's good. So here you are now, and I couldn't be more excited to have you on here. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me. I have so many things to say. No, but I have to see you to talk to you. What's going on with your video? It says it's been disabled due to internet quality.
That's a problem at your end.
There, now I can hear you. Also, it can't be my internet because you're the one who's fuzzy.
I'll tell you what, on this platform, which is Riverside, in many ways a fine platform, the quality that will end up on the screen is a lot better than the quality you see while you're experiencing it. It's a bit like life being better with rose-tinted spectacles years down the line than it is while you're living it.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a metaphor for modern day life. It's like, don't really be in the moment. Just wait to see it come out on a screen.
Oh, that's better than my observation. Yeah.
Look at your photographs later and think how much fun you had. Don't be there in the moment.
How misrepresentative of our lives are our Instagram pictures. I would love a little meter at the side or a percentage. This gives you 75% a truthful depiction of the feeling on that day.
My posting on Instagram is very binary. It's either work-related, come buy a ticket, I'm doing this gig, or it's completely how I feel in the moment. Here I am eating a mango. My blind French bulldog is harassing me. Does someone want him because I've had enough? What's very traumatic for my children, for example, is they wish that I did the Instagram posts which were posed and kind of something witty. They're like, it's mortifying. In fact, one of my kids said to me, Mom, people get dressed before they get on Instagram as opposed to you who just, it's like walking down the street. It's like, oh, I had this thought. So, yeah.
There's so many things to talk about with you. The headline thing, I think, when I think of you, is the career thing, is people know or they may not know, you were a proper investment banker. Now you are a stand-up comedian and an actor, okay? I don't know of many people, in fact, any people that have made that leap. You get teachers that change. That's not uncommon. You'll get people who are in dull jobs. Jimmy Carr was in marketing for an oil company, wasn't he? Or something like that. But an investment banker.
I think people are fascinated by banking in particular. But I also think that's in our times. We've lived through terrible financial crisis. Bankers have been vilified, in some cases rightly so, in some cases not. The entire banking industry has been painted with the same brush. So I find it fascinating that banking is like, well, how could you leave banking for this?
It's interesting that you just said, how could you leave banking for this? The other day I interviewed Bob Mortimer, and Bob was a solicitor. And at one point in the interview I said to him, what on earth was someone with your gift doing studying law? And one of the comments that came back was very interesting. They said, when you said, what on earth was someone with your gift doing? I thought you were going to say, what on earth was someone with your gift doing comedy? Now, that would never have occurred to me because the way my mind works, the gift of comedy I value far more highly than the gift of studying and practicing law.
And I can't disagree.
Now, with you, you were a successful investment banker. What is going on inside of you while you're doing these deals and things that is thinking, yes, open mic nights at clubs in southwest London, that's where my life is going to go? Because for people that don't know, when you start out doing that, it's not the bright lights, it's not the big money, it's driving through traffic to get to a pub, to go up on a stage with people who don't want to see you, they're not interested in you, they know nothing about you. Their expectation is that you're not going to be very good.
Absolutely. I didn't have a linear move from banking to comedy. When I first got on stage, I had never seen live comedy. So it was impossible for me to know that I had these ideas. I think the best way to explain what happened is that, to put it into context, that I was raised in India. It was a very typical upbringing in the sense that you did the things you were supposed to do. In India at that time, there was 3 careers. You joined the government, you became an engineer of some kind, or you became a medical person. You couldn't say, well, I think I want to have a flower shop. It just wasn't the thing. You had to do these 3 things. So when I left to study, I got a scholarship to study in this country. And it was the only way my mother would have let me leave at 20, because I was supposed to get married and have an arranged marriage, which, by the way, I'm totally fine with, because arranged marriages are not forced. You're just introduced and then you see where it goes, kind of thing. But you see where it goes after lunch. It's not like you have months and months to date. But anyway.
Is that true, or is that you're exaggerating?
No. I'm not exaggerating. In my time, it was after lunch. Now my nieces and all, and my nephews, they get several months. But at that time, it was like you said, yes or no after lunch. My mother was so concerned that I had conditions. My conditions were, he should not be shorter than me, and I don't want a mustache. Those were my 2 conditions. And she was so upset that I was being so picky, because she kept saying, well, most of humanity is shorter than you. What can we do? I'm like, they're not. I'm not marrying someone shorter than me.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10", which in India is literally the circus.
You could never have married me. I'm 5'7" on a good day, and it saddens me to think I would never even have. I would not got past the first round.
But we would have been friends. Because you would have been funny.
Don't be not another one who says we can be friends.
Well,
that's my teenage years.
There just weren't that many options. It was a very narrow band. I mean, the height really just knocked most guys out of the thing.
But only because you would not tolerate the weakness, as you see it, of the shorter man, the man around, say, 5'7". You know, that's ruling out Al Pacino. That's ruling out.
Fine.
That's ruling out Sylvester. Tom Cruise. You're ruling out.
Ugh.
You're ruling out Prince.
But that's the only one. He's the only one. For Prince, I would have walked on my knees for the rest of my life. I wouldn't have cared. But even if I'd had an hour with Prince, I'd have been happy. He's basically the only Western musician I really care about at all.
Wow, that's a hell of a statement.
It is, isn't it?
Have you seen Jason Donovan?
Yes.
Okay, well, your decision, Sindhu.
It is, but it's been like that since I first heard of Prince when I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I heard his music, which was on a cassette, because you didn't get it in India. So someone had got a cassette and brought it to my school. And I remember hearing the music and being like, who's that?
What period of Prince were you hearing then?
Well, everything had come very late to India. So it would have been probably Purple Rain.
Yeah. So you're at you get a scholarship. You're at university in
Here.
England. You then find yourself, you are an investment banker. And you're doing well. Now let's go back. I'm still curious. We went off on a tangent.
Sorry.
You're right to apologise. You then get into stand-up comedy. And may I say, at the risk of sounding condescending, you be the judge, you're very, very good at it. You're very polished at it. Where the hell does that come from?
So 2 things. One is, in between banking and stand-up, I had an extended period of time at home with the kids, because I stayed home to be a mom, because I didn't know how to mix the kind of mothering I wanted to do with these 17-hour days on the trading floor. It didn't work. So I was at home. The second thing you said was, I think I might have got a little bit of practice talking to people who it was unclear wanted to have anything to do with me.
Yeah, yeah.
After I finished my degree here, I wanted to continue studying, but everything had to be on a scholarship and a fellowship. So I went to the United States to do a PhD. And I had no money. So I had a fellowship, but it covered very little. So in the summers, instead of going on any kind of holiday, you just worked at the university as a research assistant or a teaching assistant. And I used to have to teach philosophy and political theory to undergrads from the sciences. And they were more or less my age because I had done everything very quickly. That's when I got in front of crowds of people who were like, we hate you, and tried to keep their attention so I could deliver the lecture and then get paid.
And presumably when you stood up in front of them, you're perfectly comfortable.
I wasn't in the beginning. My God, some of these were American university jocks, and they were sitting in the back of the room. It was just intimidating. I find so often in life when you don't have a choice, you just make it work.
Yeah.
What was I going to do? Not get paid, have no money, go home to my parents? I mean, that would have been so embarrassing.
All right. So you've been investment banking. You
Yes.
have kids. You think I can't do both. Something's got to give. You stop investment banking. You're at home looking after the kids. Again, I ask you, how do you go from that to the Banana Cabaret in Balham, and our open mic spot tonight is Sindhu Vee? How does that happen?
I was not one of those people that came to do stand-up because it was an art form that I understood and loved. I came to stand-up from a place of great anguish. So at that point, it was just one of the things that fell in my lap that I was like, okay, I'll go do this. A woman sent a group email to a bunch of us, an acquaintance of mine, and she said, I'm doing stand-up for charity. And I remember thinking, of the many funny people I have met in my life, she's not even in the universe. She is the least funny person I know. And then I read the email, and at the bottom there was a banner, and it was sponsored by Funny Women UK. And I clicked that, and I went straight to the website, and it said, do you think you're funny? Funny Women UK, we support stand-up. Anyway, Funny Women said you can come to a workshop. And I think I was, I had come from banking. I was used to a lot more high-powered mental activity. So all of that had sort of rolled into a ball, which I think many women will recognize, is that in the choice that we make to be present for our children, we put parts of ourselves on hold. So this email pops along. I hear my children fighting, as kids do, like cats and dogs. But my parents are here from India, and they're minding them. I then go to the website, and there's a workshop that evening in Leicester Square Theatre. And so I go do that. And it became clear to me that there were people in the world who wanted to do stand-up as a thing. And I felt like such an interloper. But Funny Women was very good. They stayed in touch. And then after many months of convincing me, they said, come and do our heats. I didn't tell, by the way, I'd never told anyone any of this, not my husband, no one. And then I went along to the heats, and then on the day of the heats, we got an email saying, remember to bring a friend who'll clap for you. And I thought, fuck, I haven't told anyone.
Yeah.
So then I asked my friend who used to live near me, because she always has a babysitter. And I was like, dude, you need to come with me. I'm going to something.
So what happened when you went into this competition? Presumably you won.
I went straight to the semifinal, yeah.
You got to the semi-final, right? Okay.
Yeah. And then I didn't make it to the final, but the next year I made it to the final. But it didn't matter. It wasn't that. It was when I got on stage in that bar in Soho. I stood there, and it's very clear to me even now. I thought, oh gosh, so this is the thing I'm going to do again. I cannot not do this, and that was it.
Because it felt like home.
I felt like I'd come home.
But how have you gone from that then? Because your acting work is rather impressive now. So you're in Sex Education. You're going to be in the new film of the Tim Minchin, Matthew Walsh's Matilda. Now, how did all that come along? Because it's a different thing, learning to work with a camera. It's not the same as being on stage.
I am so hyper aware of how time works after you're 25. It just goes faster and faster and faster and faster, that I never say no to anything.
Right.
Because my comedy muscles were dormant unknown to me. They were dormant for so long that now it's like, dude, I need the workout. So I say yes to everything. But as you will probably know, for every 1 billion self-tapes you do, you get
Yes.
maybe one callback. And then at the end of that, you don't get the show. So
That's right. That's right. Well, look, you are now at a very exciting stage of your life and your career. And I think you're awfully good.
thank you.
I'm a huge fan. Thank you. And I look forward to the
you.
next time we meet in person. Au revoir.
Yes.